guys, welcome to the Water Cooler on our little corner of the internet, live from Pittsburgh, PA. I'm Michael Sorg. It's the Movie Minute. With me, as usual, is the man who usually tells me, but I can actually tell something back to him for this one. We're talking Thor 2 today, and it's Mulango at Rambling Mango on the Twitters. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing? How are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great. I got to see my movie that I've been anticipating all summer, and we'll get to
that. Yeah, this was the movie. So we'll do the quick lineup of this past weekend, and of course the movie that we will be talking about, Thor, ran away with it. The funny thing about the movie industry, it's technically considered a failure because they're estimating the movie to get $100 million on opening weekend, and it only raked in somewhere around 85, 86 million. So I think the movie industry is smart.
I think as far as that goes, I think there's a lot of armchair movie critics out there that I really think that's, when you look at it. Wait, we're saying how it only made 85. Isn't the worldwide total like $250 million?
For opening weekend?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
That's the total so far.
I don't know what movie that is. Is that Titanic?
No, I'm talking about this movie has made a worldwide 250 so far. It released earlier other places.
250 so far. Where are you getting that number? I don't know. I mean, I'm only going. I have not checked the box office. Was it Mofo or whatever? I haven't looked on there yet. I'm just going by the Rotten Tomatoes statistics. Box office so far for opening weekend, it pulled in 80, 85. But they're forecasting this to go well beyond what the original Thor did. I think the bigger story actually about Thor was the fact that this movie, the audience rating was for the first time extremely higher than what the critics were, in the sense that it usually does fluctuate like that, but more in the sense that the first movie had a higher rating allocated to it for the first Thor than the second one did. So the critics thought that the first Thor was better than the second one, in which case I would like to slap them across the forehead.
I gotta say, because we're talking about critically, okay, it's better. The first one was better, but financially, this one was better. Obviously, the audience thought it was better. I mean, I think this really calls into question the whole how much weight do we put on critics, which I think has always been questionable. But still, the question is, did we like it? Did everybody go and pay their money? Will people go and pay their money again over the next few weeks? Are people going to buy the DVD? These guys are making money. It is not an issue. I think I have not heard anybody say anything really bad about the movie just yet. Amongst people I know that have watched it, but of course, people I know that are going to watch it are the fans that read Marvel stuff. I think it's just most interesting because I don't know a lot of people who follow Thor, which I think is something with a lot of these guys with the Avengers. In comparison, there's not a lot of people that have experienced a Thor cartoon, comic book, etc. up until now. Like for me, I don't know half of the stuff in this movie as a comic book reader. And I'm pleasantly surprised and pleased with everything coming at me. Maybe it's because it's like, going and watching the Hunger Games. I don't mind anything that may be odd in there, or Lord of the Rings, because I never read the books, right?
Yeah.
I did read some of Lord of the Rings afterwards, just to qualify. But still, taking it in new, and I think just taking it as a movie and with an icon that and obviously, this is kind of like the end of a trilogy between Thor, Avengers, now Thor 2, right?
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that. Let me round off the quick movie lineup news. Jackass still held strong at number 2, or Jackass actually stayed at number 2. I'm going to say it stayed at number 2. And number 3 was the Las Vegas Freebirds. The reason why I'm saying that both of these spots did not change is because Ender Game has been removed from the top 3 spots after one weekend movie drop, which makes me feel I don't know. That's kind of sad. It was a good movie for what it was, but I think it shows that the audience uh, didn't really want to see children. I guess the teens didn't really want to.
Hunger Games, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I mean that's unfortunate. I hear the book's really good. I'm actually about to get the audio book for it and listen through there. My buddy said that I would be pleasantly surprised. But yeah, that's that. So that rounds it off with the movies. And just to put in perspective, Thor did come in 8 times with 8 times more money than those 4 movies that I mentioned. Mm-hmm. So it ran away this weekend. That's the movie people were telling us.
Yeah, did anything else even come out like that's anywhere in comparison that isn't like a Oscar-y date movie or something like that? You know, it was definitely straight on, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think anybody wanted to compete with Thor, so that's definitely cool. Yeah, so let's get back into Thor. I gave you some questions that. Did you get a chance to look at them?
I saw your questions here.
This is the Mike Sword review.
Okay.
This is like the, what is it? Your review in 30 seconds. Go. No.
Well, I liked it. Did the movie flow? Yeah, I think so. I don't see where there's a problem with any flow or anything. It definitely did not feel long. I didn't feel like, oh my God, is it 2 hours? Oh, wow, that was 2 hours.
Yeah.
The character...
It definitely moved from shot to shot, and seeing the scene, I thought, pretty smoothly.
There are definitely no lulls in this one.
Yeah.
Like, there were definitely no lulls. Like, versus, like, the first one, where, you had your Asgardian scenes, and then it was just, like, back on Earth. It was very, like, Thor was cut down. It was very, real-worldy, and him dealing with that. This one was just, like, weird world, a little bit here, it just had a lot going on. The characters, I love the brother interaction in this one. I thought it was a lot of fun what they did with that, and they really kind of delved into it. When I watch it again, definitely. As with most Marvel movies, I end up buying it on DVD. Now I'm kind of incorporating, making sure I get a digital download with that as well. And would I recommend it? Yeah, to anyone. I think the people. We had Missy and her sister with us, and I don't think they don't read Thor or follow any of that, but they follow the Marvel movies. So yeah. I think that's close as I got to somebody watching it that's not like, holy crap, superhero movies. You know what I mean? And I think this is the thing right now, and this is the buzz. And these are the people. Marvel is continually doing the best job at this right now.
Definitely. Compared to DC, hands down. Mm-hmm. So, what was the last question? Did you answer all of them?
Emotional impact? I don't know. Like, my emotional impact was that was cool.
That's a good emotional impact to have.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of those movies where you go to see on the big screen to see the crazy big stuff that happens and the sound and everything. And and I think it delivered on all that. I didn't really get into the mushy story or anything like that, but I thought they didn't really. I didn't think they overplayed the relationship too bad that it got in the way of the action and the story.
I definitely think they did a good job of holding back on the relational between Natalie Portman's character and Thor. Yeah. They kind of scaled that back. I mean, there was even a joke about how we didn't see the big kiss was at the end, of course, but it was almost like forgotten about.
Yeah. Well, and because of the way they put it, a lot of people didn't even get to see the big kiss.
That's true.
But no, I think there was enough in there. There was enough with her interweaved, and she was part of the story and not just around for the story. You know what I mean? And I think it was enough to get the girls into it. I would think, and that's about it. And that's all it needs to be.
He definitely took his shirt off quite a bit of times.
For the ladies. For the ladies, that's why this is the movie for everybody, right? So does Captain America, so And again, we're still mixing in enough stuff that this feels like a bigger movie. It feels like it's part of a bigger universe. Just like we saw in Iron Man, we're still referencing fallout from, again, the last Thor movie and Avengers and what happened there, obviously with Loki being a big part of that. This really kind of more directly becomes kind of a sequel to Avengers to see, okay, what happened to Loki, and what's next for him, and where does he go from here? And I think...
and I'm sorry to cut you off, but they definitely also do remind us throughout this movie that you are still in the Marvel Universe. There are a couple scenes in there that were pretty humorous and in reminding us, like, oh, just in case you didn't remember, these other characters are part of this movie.
Yeah, I mean, we still have references to S.H.I.E.L.D. We still have other things that happen. We still have our obligatory Stan Lee shot. I mean, and again, more characters from Avengers. But I mean, pretty much the same ones we've seen. Coulson's busy doing his own thing, so I'm not surprised of him not showing up with this latest round of them. But I am very excited. Next week's, not tonight's. We record this here Tuesday, 5:30. Not tonight's, but next week's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I believe, is supposed to be the fallout from what happens in Thor 2, which I want to see how they play that off, how much they put in this. There's a certain something that got loose. Maybe that plays into it. I think that makes sense to me. But somebody in our discussion last night says, oh, I don't think they have the special effects budget for that for a TV show. But we'll see. We'll see. But there was that question because they did bring up S.H.I.E.L.D. And then I'm sitting there for a lot of this, especially at the end. Where is S.H.I.E.L.D. in all this?
I know. I had that exact thought.
But the same thing happens in the comic book. You go read like Wolverine and some crazy world-ending thing is happening over here. Meanwhile, some other crazy world-ending thing is happening over in Avengers. And it's like, why aren't you helping each other out? Because apparently something big and world-ending is always happening all the freaking time. And then you just explain away that the Fantastic Four is somewhere in space somewhere. Like, I don't know how many times I've heard that excuse. At least this time we can say that they're handcuffed by Fox. But that still makes sense. But yeah, there is definitely that feel of like, and I'm sure like the episode next week will say, well, we didn't make it because blah, blah, blah,
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
I think that would be hilarious how they interact that.
Yeah, and maybe this stuff we're seeing how it's like S.H.I.E.L.D. is the big monster kind of thing in Captain America, as we're seeing the trailer. Maybe we go back to, well, we missed on the Thor thing and we almost lost the world there, so we're not going, like, they step it up more because of that, He's like, hey, aliens just like drop big ships on us like twice in a row. Let's go do this, you can kind of get S.H.I.E.L.D. not entirely getting involved with that Iron Man 3 situation, right? Because it was kind of a low-level threat. It was a terroristic threat. It wasn't as big, like, we're going to send our giant helicopter and take care of this.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, like, I feel like anything related to Thor would spark some interest with S.H.I.E.L.D., especially seeing how, like, he's a godlike figure who wields electricity and a hammer that will follow him through space. So, yeah.
Fun sequence with that, too, yeah.
Before I get to your final rating, let's go down my lineup really quick. So, did I like the movie? I wrote, it was pretty good, much better than the first one. Did the movie flow? Yeah, I thought it definitely moved along from scene to scene very easily and in a pleasing way. So, I didn't. There was never any point where I was like, "Wait, what's going on here? Like, why are we back here?" So I thought that did a pretty good job. Did the characters develop? Definitely. I think hands down, Loki was the star of this. And I did like the villain too. What was this? Christopher
Eccleston, the original reboot Doctor from back in like 2005. I didn't realize it was even him until I saw the closing credits. I'm like, oh, it's the Doctor! But he's so done up in makeup and everything that I hardly could even tell,
Yeah, I definitely think that whole race definitely came off as like a very, very good, evil kind of presence. It was interesting, though. I did have some kind of, like, roadblocks to that, where, like, going back in the darkness. Okay, but when you get into the whole, like, I guess that universe, it kind of is explained with magic and I guess the stones or these the tesseract or whatever they're called, like the element stones.
Yeah.
So
I think you're looking for the Infinity Stones, sir. I'll keep you straight on the Marvel lore here.
Thank you, Mike. My emotional reaction was they were very nice effects. A lot of people were complaining that they weren't over the top or any kind of groundbreaking effects.
No.
I think like, all of those people are on drugs and still high on gravity. But that being said,
no gravity, man. Now they're like special effects hipsters. They're like so better than gravity.
Yeah. I mean, the compositing on that final shot where we see that spaceship appear in London, which made me laugh that, oh, yes, I'm glad New York, New York's already been destroyed. Let's go to the next major city.
And they don't destroy like an entire city either. They screw up a pretty good area in London, but it's not like like the mass destruction you saw in and there was actually a question because the Kevin Feige, I think is pronounced, the producer on all the Marvel studio work, he was on Nerdist last week. They had a Marvel week, great stuff. They had him, the guy who plays Loki, and actually guy who plays Aiden Coulson on there as well. Yeah. And they were like they're like, hey, I think we're getting a little bit of city destruction fatigue between Avengers, between Man of Steel. Every time there's a budget for special effects, we destroy a city. Can we get over that? He's like, yeah. We're not really doing that in Thor this time. So it was good to see that, I think it was interesting. It was a different threat. It opened up this whole other world that we don't know, with these other realms. We always heard about the 9 realms in the first Thor movie. Now we got to see a bit more of them, in a very inventive way, actually. But they explain why, why didn't he come back and check in on Jane Foster and everything like that. It was Natalie Portman's character. They really did a good job, and that is still the most impressive part, is how much is interweaved between these movies, and that has got me hooked on them, and I cannot get enough of it. And it is exactly what hooks me into their comic books. So we're good until we have a giant Civil War event that makes us fatigued.
Which seems like it might be coming.
It could be.
I also definitely thought this movie was funny. They did a very good job of sprinkling in the humor where need be, and they did it in a way that wasn't overly cheesy. So I thought that was cool. Would I watch it again? I'd probably see it again. And would I recommend it? Definitely. If you like this kind of movie and you like this kind of stuff, I'd definitely go see it. It's definitely good to see it on the big screen.
Bring on the superheroes. Bring it on, Marvel. Bring on your crazy Guardians of the Galaxy next year.
Oh, jeez. So on the quick wrap up of this movie review, what was you can either give your out of 5-star rating. I already know what you would recommend seeing this at, but give your quick review of this. Your final rating.
If you're at all an big action movie or superhero fan, I'm going 5 out of 5 on this. I think it fits all. Okay. It's everything. It's everything that I loved about Avengers, but with one Avenger.
And you would definitely see this, and I'm assuming you would recommend people seeing this in the theater.
Oh yeah, definitely a theater. I just went to a regular theater, but I always try to go to the CarMax around here because they have the newer projection technology. So although the screens are getting a little iffy lately, so I might have to see what my other options are. I think they did a 3D version of this. It's probably fun in that, but I'm good with the theater. But that's my preference. Definitely if you're a Marvel fan, you're gonna love it. Unless you're one of those, comic book nerds that knows Thor inside and out, and I'm sure they didn't do something right for you. There's that. For instance, I had no idea, more or less, what the ending meant. But I know they're touching on stuff that I have never, ever, ever laid my eyes on in comic book form.
Same here.
So that's exciting because that means there's like, instead of like everybody's like, wait, the Iron Man was like this, because everybody's seen like, you know, maybe an Iron Man cartoon or something. That's my experience, like the '90s Iron Man cartoon, an Avengers cartoon here or there. So like, even if you're not a comic book crazy person, you're like, okay, I know a little bit about Captain America. I've always heard of Captain America, you know, and seeing how he is. You know, that story's been told over and over again with something like Captain America and Thor's, you know, origins. You know, we have these cartoon movies that are out as well. But you get into the stuff like the Thanos stuff that we saw a little thing at the end of Avengers. You know, it's gonna, I think, continue through Guardians of the Galaxy, because I think that's more that area. This is new territory for a lot of people. And, you know, I remember Iron Man, people thought it was crazy that Iron Man had a movie. Now they're really digging in to, you know, remember Blade wasn't really a popular character at all. Yeah. Like, it was the weirdest character for them to go reach in and remake and make a movie out of, and it did tremendous. To a trilogy and even at least a season of a series, right?
I definitely think people have been craving these kind of movies for a while. And I mean, especially since we grew up in a, I'm not a hardcore comic book person, but I definitely grew up with comic books, you know, going to the library or buying my own. Yeah. And the X-Men cartoons, the Iron Man Fantastic Four cartoons. So that's definitely, I feel like, our generation. So yeah, and they're primed for this kind of stuff.
And never has anybody touched base on, like, even, you know, the truest Batman fan is going to be pissed about several things in the latest round of the Batman movies, especially. The true Batman fan says that they have never done a good Batman movie. And to be honest, no, they have not done one completely true to form. You know, but you can accept the Christopher Nolan ones as the truest of them. And just very good movies in general. You know,
I'd love to talk to somebody who could just like go off on not having an authentic. The Christopher Nolan's Batman was probably the best that we'll get. Yeah. Dark, gritty, didn't hold back. I mean, that
very respectful, very respectful for the material, but not versus the Marvel movies. I feel like I'm watching the comic book come to life versus the Batman.
Yeah, really, I think Marvel's done a phenomenal job of captivating people and pulling them into this universe and world. And I feel like that's definitely something that DC. I'm getting a lot of noise.
Yeah, you're getting some weird feedback there. But, you know, yeah, really, you know, versus I think the first Spider-Man movie felt like, okay, I thought they got Spider-Man. You know, for that, you know, it looks kind of long in the tooth if you go back and watch the first few that Spider-Man trilogy again with Sam Raimi. But I think they got Spider-Man. Even the new one, a lot of people hate it, but I think they got a different tone, but it was a version of Spider-Man I was familiar with. But
Spider-Man?
Yeah, even the new Spider-Man. But then you go to these movies don't feel like, oh, they got a Captain America movie. Oh, they got an Iron Man movie. It's like, no, they got Marvel, you know, and it's Marvel getting Marvel. And even X-Men. X-Men has always been a really love-hate relationship for me. You know, I mean, I love that the X-Men is on screen, but there's always a little bit here and there of really, and it's been mishandled for several years too. But it was definitely like you felt like these are as good of X-Men as I'm going to get on my screen. And this is, I don't think I can get a better Thor, Captain America, Iron Man on my screen.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, especially with I mean, like, let's say, hands down, the Iron Man movies are the ones that got me captivated. Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2, I will still say, hands down, that's the best thing Marvel brought out. Those are the ones that got, you know, everything started. And besides Avengers, I would say Iron Man's the way to go. So compared to that, I don't know how people would relate Thor to, I would say, Iron Man 1 or 2, but I mean, they're different kind of heroes. So I guess, I don't know, I guess it's personal preference. But I mean, hands down, Iron Man is the one that still holds Marvel's like that's their big money maker.
It's their blueprint. It really has been their blueprint for the rest of them as well.
But all right, well, yeah. So I mean, my final wrap up with that review. Initially I gave it a 3 out of 5. I think I'm rolling that back up to about a 4. But based on, if I compare it as a movie on its own compared to the original Thor, I would give it a 4. If I'm comparing it to the Iron Man movies and Avengers 2, I think I pull it back down to a 3.5. But with that being said, and not me being like over critical or anything, it's a good movie. I would definitely recommend going to see it in theater.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
So let's see, what else do we got? Oh, let's go. Oh, that's all spoiler stuff. We can't talk about that yet. So let's go. Let's see what else is interesting in the news. The Lego trailer. I think it's the final or first trailer. I'm not sure what they were considering it. But I watched this trailer the other day, and it actually made me want to see this movie for the first time.
Really?
Yeah. And I don't know if it's just the perceived comedy seems like something that, I mean, it's definitely not tailored to kids, obviously. I think it's tailored to our generation.
And wait, is this the Batman Lego movie, or they're doing a whole separate Lego movie?
No, this is the Lego movie. The intro, I believe, starts off with is this the one that starts off with Batman? I don't know which one that you're looking at.
I don't know if I found the real one, or this is some kind of stop motion crazy stuff.
This looks
for real. This looks for real.
Yeah, there is one that starts off with like Batman kind of just doing like a little spiel, which is pretty funny.
Wow, this isn't like the Lego, like the Batman Lego movie CG stuff. Like looks like it's like a stop motion. Wow. Like, yeah. It looks like they took Robot Chicken and made a Lego movie out of
it. That one scene that they showed where he walks in and it's like extremely expensive coffee. He's like, "Oh yeah, we're always happy." He's like, "Yeah." I think that's the one that got me. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm seeing this movie." It's
the right kind of comedy, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna plug in my headphones. That could probably help with some of the background noise.
Okay. Phil, in the meantime, I guess, right? You're back? Okay. That was quick. Okay.
I didn't get that far. Does that help at all? Do you not
maybe a little bit. But it'll probably help on your end more than it will mine. So anyways, Lego movie. Great. I mean, they've really done a great job of reinventing Lego as more than just a pile of bricks. Is that the Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, I think the Ninja Turtles show up. You got Morgan Freeman, of course, playing like this white all-being character, which is funny. I think it's hilarious that we use like black characters as like the voice of reason in a lot of these movies, like The Matrix. I approve. But yeah, I mean, after seeing this, I have a coworker who was like, "How could you not be into this?" And I'm just like, I don't know. This is the Legos. You know, I played with these. I would build. I think the craziest Lego set I ever had was like a castle that I had where we had like the medieval set.
See, I never had a set. I always just had a big bucket of Legos, and I would. But I also had a bunch of like superhero figures, like the old Superpower Team ones, the Batman. Like it was pretty much like the Super Friends toys, right?
Yeah.
But I would build vehicles for them and like, I don't know, stairways and buildings for them, you know, that were like additions to the Hall of Justice. Like that was, so apparently I was before my time with this kind of stuff. But yeah, but everybody's had Legos pretty much, right? And you know, everybody, those little guys with the little orange heads are iconic, you know. And I can't believe it took them this long to do something like this.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much of it is the technology because it does have to feel with stop motion.
Yes.
I wonder how much of it though is fake stop motion, meaning they're all 3D elements, but they're just perceived, they're animated as stop motion. I'm not sure, so that's, you know, I don't know what is behind the technology for this specific movie.
And I think a lot of stop motion is really kind of CG enabled lately. Like that's the feel I get from them.
But yeah, I mean, besides that, I mean, that's the one that I'm pretty interested. Besides news, I didn't really go much into news because I was so involved with Thor this weekend. So, but yeah, let's. That's it. Coming out this weekend, I could go to what's coming out this weekend to round out the show.
Go for
before
it.
we go into like our quick little spoiler zone area. But yeah, there is nothing coming out this weekend. You got the best man holiday. All I can say, I don't want to say anything bad about this movie, but I'm not going to see this movie. So if somebody out there sees it and, really loves it, let us know. But this is there are a lot of very good black actors and actresses in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But this just reminds me of movies like The Peoples, the
Tyler Perry stuff. Yeah, that was the feel I got from it, but I didn't feel like I got the jokes as opposed to a Tyler Perry one. Although, what the hell with that Made is Christmas thing that I saw in the trailer? What the hell? But yeah, no, it actually looks like an entertaining movie. This seems like right off the bat, this seems like it's on HBO. Okay,
Yeah, and I mean, the thing that's hard to judge is when you see movies like there's The Family Stone, movies like that. You think, all right, maybe this is just the black version of it, but without, I don't know. It's listed as a comedy, and I think The Family Stone was listed as a drama. So, I mean, I don't know. It might be. I got nothing to say. Ty Diggs, I don't know what to say. I don't know why you're doing this. Terrence Howard, I don't know how much they're paying you for this one. Yeah. Shanae Lana is a very attractive black woman, but that's not saying anything about. If you're going to see this movie for attractive black people, go see this movie.
And there you go. There's your recommendation. I don't know. Is that a new point on the scale now?
That's I don't think they go into this movie really trying to I don't know what to say, Mike. Maybe I should just force myself to watch it so I have something so I can have an opinion. Isn't that what they say?
Maybe,
when voting?
Yeah.
It's if you don't vote, you can't say anything.
There you go. If you don't, or I thought it was if you don't have anything nice to say. It was pointed out to us by Chachi in the chat room, who, by the way, still thinks you're a curmudgeon, that there is a Lego Marvel Superheroes Maximum Overload movie on Netflix right now. Well, no, it's 22 minutes. It's 22 minutes.
That's not a movie.
Is this the one that came out on DVD not too long ago? Is that what's going on here? But actually, I'm curious now. I'm going to add this to my list. It's only 22 minutes. I'm not dedicating a lot to it, so why not, right?
Agreed.
I'm going to add it to my list right now. Anything else that we want to touch on before we get out of here?
No, I think that's it. Do you want to do a quick spoiler?
All right, we'll do a spoiler zone. I know other podcasts, but I think it's the only way it makes sense. So we'll put a graphic up. If you guys are on the live stream, just mute it until you see the graphic goes away, or stick around here if you're on the podcast or the video cast, and we're going to talk what we think about, full-on spoiler mode for Thor 2. And that's it. So thanks, Mulango, at Rambling Mango on the Twitter. I'm at Sorgatron as well. And we'll see you guys next week.
Cool.
So you better do that. So, it's our first spoiler zone thing. We really probably should come up with a different name, because I know we both have heard that title on another one. But,
yeah.
But, so Thor 2, first one we've got to experience, both of us got to see, so we can actually talk about it, a little bit here. So, so again, not knowing much, I liked it, and I like what they did with Loki.
Oh gosh, Loki's character is freaking awesome. What kills me about that is when he dies, I literally for a second thought he was dead. And then I'm just like, why would they kill off such an awesome character like that? And then in that final shot where, you see like the soldier on the planet who kind of cracks a smile. I'm like, oh, Loki's still alive. And then you see the father scene. You're just like, oh, this is...
So, and this has been interesting because we're leaving the theater. They're like, oh, I can't believe they killed Odin. I'm like, I don't think they confirmed that he's dead in this one. I think Loki, I honestly think Loki's just bouncing around, pretending to be other people all through that castle, and just doing stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I don't think the father character is dead. He's probably just hidden somewhere. Yeah. Like in a very dark, which, leads to an epic, like, brother battle eventually. Yeah. Because you can only, that's just awesome. But yeah, Loki, I think definitely steals the show. The one thing that I was a little disappointed, I feel like sometimes in these superhero movies, the villains always come off as very epically strong. Because, they made a point that this matter, once it was absorbed by by Malekith, he would be basically, like, unstoppable. Yeah. But then he was pretty easily stopped.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Superman's unstoppable until you find something else that's a little bit more unstoppable, right? I think that's where you run into the problem. And then when you get to the point where you're dealing with characters like Thor and like basically everything else in this universe, in the Thor part of the universe, like that idea of how strong they are is so like, kind of like you don't really know how much real money $1 trillion is when they're talking about it with the budget. You don't know how much real power Thor holds and what that compares to somebody else. And they just kind of free-willingly write it, And it's not entirely like he was just beat up to death, right? They still had to do a little bit of trickery.
Well, yeah, you could definitely see Thor's vulnerability in the sense that he got his ass handed to him. Yeah. on the one planet, and then you could definitely see like his just utter will in that last battle scene where he's like going through like this tornado of just crap. So it's always, I don't know, it's just interesting to see that like, and I understand like it wasn't something that was like, that sucks, but it was just like, oh well, they did it. Like I don't know if it was like a matter of like just pure luck, which it could have been, or just a very clever scheme that maybe Tony Stark would have thought up. But yeah, I still think ultimately it was a good setup. The thing that I think is awesome about this Avengers storyline and universe is how all of these movies are intertwined. It's like I didn't even realize that the gauntlet, the
Infinity Stones,
Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah, is that what?
Yeah, Infinity Gauntlet.
I didn't even realize that was in the first Thor movie. Did you realize that was in the first Thor movie?
Oh, in the Hall of Weapons, right?
Yeah. They hint at it. It's like it's crazy, and then we see Thanos at the end of the Avengers movie. Yeah, it's almost like all of these Easter eggs that they're dropping. It's clear to everybody, and we have a Guardian of the Galaxies coming out in 2014, so we know that this is leading up to it. Yeah, and I think it's also really cool that they're showing these heroes. I missed the second ending, like the second spoiler or whatever it's called, like the Easter egg ending of Thor. But apparently, from what I heard, it was basically him just living on Earth and kind of hanging up the cape and the hammer and settling in as though he was human.
No, I don't think they even got that far. It was basically, unless there's multiple Enders out there.
No, I don't know.
I've heard that. That's happened before with, I think, X-Men or something. Or no, Wolverine, I think they did multiple enders. But no, he just shows up. Like, they're all sitting around. He shows up. They kiss finally. And then you see that monster from the Ice World still running amok. Which I really think that's going to be the S.H.I.E.L.D. Episode. Like, they're going to work that in somehow. You know what I mean? Because that seems like a big threat.
Well, it's definitely cool that you see all these heroes, which is leading up, of course, to Avengers 2.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that in the Winter Soldier for Captain America, I bet at the end of that movie, he too will say, you know what, I don't trust something. Things aren't really, this isn't what I expected. And I bet he hangs up the shield and kind of goes into submission, which will all lead to some epic thing coming up in Avengers 3 or Avengers 2. Most likely Thanos coming.
I don't. That's where it gets interesting, because I'm not sure if you're going to see Thanos in Avengers 2, because they've already said that it's going to be Age of Ultron.
Okay.
Now, I think one of your elements could be like Ultron is after something like the Tesseract, and it's another one of these stones. Like he gets power for something, or maybe he's made from that power or something. Because they haven't introduced Ant-Man, who creates Ultron, so they're most likely doing something different with Ultron as far as the origin goes. Because Ant-Man doesn't come out until afterwards, and I don't know if they would introduce him in this movie.
Interesting.
They could. They very well could. I mean, they could still introduce Hank Pym, and then he's not Ant-Man until the Ant-Man movie. Very possible. Remember, Dr. Connors was in just about every Spider-Man movie, and they never introduced him. They never got around to it. Pre-Lizard. And, of course, we just randomly did it in the last movie. It's...
I mean, showing us the Collector definitely leads into Guardians of the Galaxy. And based on that storyline, are we to assume that we'll see the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers fighting alongside against Thanos? I don't know. What are we setting ourselves up for?
I think a little bit of that, breaking news from the Twitters. Film critic Hulk is only 4 episodes into Gilmore Girls, but it's already Hulk's spirit animal.
Nice.
No, I think your Thanos situation, because again, we have 2 of the 6 stones, I think it is, as of now, and how many movies have we gone through? I think it all builds to all this is going to build to Avengers 3.
Oh, you think so?
I think that's going to be the ender for the entire series, and it's going to be the big blow up. It's going to be because you have your battle with Thanos is the dark side of this universe, right?
Yeah.
He is the all powerful. Oh my God! It doesn't get much worse than this, kind of situation. And what do you do after that? So I think that's what they're building up to. I think that's the perfect thing, for them to do.
That's a good point. So, I mean, with the possibility of Ant-Man next year and some other movies, the question is, are we just going to get bombarded with so many superhero movies that we're just going to, at this point, at this point, Marvel isn't really doing much wrong. And I have a feeling that Captain America is going to be pretty good, the Winter Soldier. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, I don't know. I kind of feel like I could wait this out with the progression of these movies. And like you said, it's basically watching the comic book.
And I think it's very well paced because we only get 2, maybe 3 movies a year from this part of the universe.
Yeah.
Even when if you pull up next year, we only have Captain America and Guardians of the Galaxy, and then the year after is Avengers, and after that is Ant-Man. So they're still pacing it. You're still only getting 2 a year for this thing. It just seems like a lot because we remember Iron Man 1 was in 2007.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 2008. And even that, we went from that to 2010 having Iron Man 2, 2011 having Thor and Captain America, and then last year we just had the Avengers. So it seems like a lot because we've already been through There's 6 of these things, 7, 8 of these things. Yeah. So, but go ahead.
No, I was going to say it makes me feel like Iron Man 3 might have just been created to continue the plot line for the rest of the other characters and into Avengers. But that's all I was going to say. The last thing I was going to say was I read one comment on one of the blogs I check out. They said the Collector looked like Bagatu from Zoolander. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Awesome. All right. That's your spoiler zone. Thanks a lot for sticking around. Check us out here next week, live.sorgatronmedia.com, about 5:30 p.m.-ish. Just about. Big episode 10. Later.
See you.